Good Thursday morning. I hope you're having a wonderful start of your day. This is 1 Corinthians 14. That's where we're in. And let me ask you a question. Do you know how to build people up? Do you know how to build yourself up? Right? And what do I mean? Some people say encourage, but I'm going to throw out an old school word, and people think it's only to be used in church. Edify. Do you know how to edify somebody? Do you know how to make it so that they stand taller after listening to you, right? They're encouraged. That's where we get the word edifice. If you look at a beautiful monument or a structure or a building, that is an edifice. Edify, same, root. So in this chapter, Paul is talking about how we are to build each other up and edify. In Romans 14:19, we're to follow after peace and edify one another. And in this chapter 14 of 1 Corinthians, in verse 5, it mentions that the church may receive the edification and edifying. In verse 7, the sounds that are transmitted, even the instruments, the words, should be life-giving. A lot of times it promotes death, right? People, some things that they say, their sentences, their sounds, just like, oh, it brings down your spirit. No, it should lift it up. In verse 9, it says that otherwise, if we do not speak with understanding, if we do not have the right motives, then we just speak into the air, thin air. It just fades away. And in verse 14, the same thing about prayer. If we do not have understanding, if we're not rooted in the right motives and truth, and we are just, trying to show off, then the prayer is unfruitful. So in verse 15, it talks about we are to pray with understanding and we're to sing with understanding. It's great to be able to, do all those trills, right? And have vibrato, but if you don't have any substance and context and content and understand it, it's empty, right? It's unfruitful. And in verse 19, it talks about it's better to speak with 5 words of understanding than 10,000 words and just trying to call attention to yourself, right? With no type of depth. And your motives are wrong. In verse 26, again, it says, let all things be done so that we edify one another. So we can really just examine ourselves, even when we go into work today or whatever our assignments are, going to school. When we exchange and communicate, let's be mindful that we're building ourselves up, because we have to be very careful as far as the words that we, speak. And it doesn't have to be verbally, but even just think about ourselves, right? Because we can tear ourselves down. The enemy wants that. And he just wants to, discourage her. Yeah, the focus. I was looking at something where they were saying, I don't want to say it, but it's just how the brain is wired. When the brain gets a negative message, it focuses on that. And it's the reticular activating system, something like that. But it just clamps down on that message. And throughout the day, if you had that one negative message, then the brain will reinforce and say, see, I told you, see, I told you, see, I told you. And then that's how all of a sudden you're depressed, you're feeling despondent. The Lord wants us to build ourselves up in our most holy faith. Amen. And in verse 33, we want to do all that even when we come together in church or in a group, and we want to be able to have understanding and peace and to edify one another and not discord and chaos. Because in verse 33 of chapter 14 of 1 Corinthians, it says, God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. So he wants his saints, he wants his people, he wants everyone to be of peace, right? Not nervous, not worry, not just negativity and stress and all that. No, he gives peace that passeth all understanding. Someone asked me yesterday, someone asked someone about me, I guess she nervous about something. And they're like, no, not at all. No. That's one thing. Yeah, my son was able to answer. We were at a very important event yesterday, and everybody was nervous and then he was like, my mom is not, because he knows that I trust in the Lord. And the bottom line is verse 40. Let all things be done decently and in order. As long as we have the right motives, as long as God is at the center, we never have to be rattled. So let's make sure that we edify, we have life-giving words and actions so that we build each other up in our most holy faith, so God will get the glory all day. Have a wonderful day in the Lord. Edifying.